And this, of course, if you know the story, are the opening lines of this dark, twisted story written by Staringback on Archive of Our Own. God bless this author. Hey guys, how you doing? This is me making a little review, or in better put it words, a little praise about a story that I've been following for years now. I mean, I've been following it for years. I can't get it out of my head. It is something that I mean, not constantly, but in a while think about. And it is a story that I am not planning on quitting. No, no, I am planning to follow this story until I'm old, until I'm an old granny. Yeah, until I'm an old granny with kittens, dozens of kittens. I don't know why I envision myself like that, but anyway, that just shows you how much I'm dedicated to the story and how much I'm loving it. I mean, I just keep making posting videos about this. So yeah, there you go. That just shows you how crazy I am about this. And also, I'm not gonna lie, I don't usually make videos on YouTube, especially when it's about fan fiction, because usually people think it's kind of cringy. I know what, I give them a point for that because believe me when I say that I read some stories that made me want to unseed, made me want to drink bleach, or made me want to curl in a ball and drift away into obliviousness so I can forget it all. But most of the time, I just laugh my ass off because it's funny, and I don't usually take fanfiction so seriously. I mostly just think it's a place where people can unleash their imagination, whether the story was good or bad. And honestly, I respect all people that write on the platform. I mean, I know that by experience that writing is not as easy as people think it is. I do believe that you really need to work consistently on your writing skills, or, just be very talented on it. And my lord, I have met great talents on fanfiction. I have met them on Archive of Our Own, on Wattpad. Hell, even just by reading some YouTube's comments. I mean, there are just people out there writing super duper good stories for free, and that just blows my mind. For free, for absolutely no penny, no green dollar, just free. And it makes me wish that I could pay them, or I don't know, do something to help them, because they've given me something so good. I mean, they've really transported me into this world that they were trying to convey, and it's working. You've caught my attention. But on the contrary, sadly, some of them are not that popular, while other stories that are, let's just say, a little less of quality are getting millions of views, and then they're getting sold throughout the world. For example, 50 Shades of Grey, Divergence, After. I mean, they get movie adaptations, series adaptations. And it's just sad to see that those stories are getting way more attention than these other less known stories that are by a long shot far better than the stories that I just summed up. I mean, it just breaks my heart that these stories are getting such little recognition. And that's why I wanted to make this video. I wanted to bring justice to these underrated stories. I wanted to bring them under their well deserved spotlight. I am usually very lazy, so for me to make this video speaks some volume. Anyway, let's start the review of Sooner or Later You're Gonna Be Mine. So, what's the story about? Sooner or Later You're Gonna Be Mine is a captivating story set in a dark, twisted version of a mob ridden city, and is also set in the alternative universe of Underfall. In case you didn't know what that means, it means it's simply just a fan retelling of Undertale. So the original game's premise is now flipped, and all the monsters that were initially kind and good are now depicted as overtly murderous, violent, or simply downright edgy. And trust me, they were edgy in this one. I mean, you're gonna see these monsters just bashing heads in bathrooms, stalking people, uh, cutting throats, bombing bars down. I mean, anything can happen in this story, which I'm loving it. And I mean, if you just read the tags alone of sooner or later you're gonna be mine, you're gonna get a pretty good picture of what the whole story is about. I mean, I can just show you poof like a picture of it so you can read it, because I don't think I'm going to read it out loud, especially on YouTube, because some words whew, they made me, gave me a little goosebump. There you go. Anyway, back to the story. In this tale, we follow our main character, Frisk, who is an adult woman and tries to survive in this mafia and gang ridden city. I mean, the city is just populated by mobsters, murderers, and the most violent criminals her city had to offer. She honestly thought things couldn't get any worse until corruption in the form of a grinning skeleton came strolling into her life. His name? Can you guess who it is? Of course, it's Sans. And once she meets Sans, boy, her life took a turn for the worse. And when I'm telling you the worst, I am telling you the absolute worst. I mean, this girl is just thrown in all sorts of crazy situations, and all you can think is, can this poor girl please take a break from all the nonsense that is happening around her? Holy. The story weaves together music, danger, and unexpected connections, making it a very thrilling read. The writer, Staringback, really pulled this story off. She created the right kind of suspense. There was so much suspense throughout the chapters. I was just flipping through the chapters, just speeding through, because I wanted to know what was going to happen next. As soon as I read the first chapter, Red Smoke, I was hooked. Just the grim tone alone of the story had me sucked right away in this gritty world we are introduced. We learn everything about the world, the organized crime that runs deep within the city, about the abuse of power and corruption, of the innocent like Frisk who suffers from the system, and more importantly, the rising tension between humans and monsters, especially after the monsters are beginning to set in the surface city. And you know, of course, humans not liking it. You're just wondering how will Frisk survive in this place? And all these elements made my eyes glued on my screen, and it made me want to click with impatience for the next chapter. And I have to applaud the writer for that. I loved it. That's it. There you go. I loved it. All these elements made my eyes glued on my screen, and it made me want to click with impatience for the next chapter. And all I can do is applaud the writer for that. This story was such a huge roller coaster to be in, and I had so much fun. Too much fun. And yeah, So yeah, anyway, if you're a huge fan of The Godfather, The Big Sleep, Scarface, Citizen Kane, The Goodfellas, Max Payne, The Batman 2022, good movie by the way, I can guarantee and cannot recommend you enough to go and check it out. Links are in the description. Now, about the links, you will find the story of Staringback on Archive of Our Own. I will say, be warned, because there were some explicit scenes, some violent scenes when you're going to read when you're going to read some chapters. So if you're somebody who's easily disturbed, maybe it's not your thing. But if you like stuff like that, all I can say is go ahead, jump right into it. And then there is also the link of the artist Melikas on Tapas. The art is just jaw-dropping gorgeous. And I can really imagine how time-consuming it is to craft such an art. And I've even recently became a Patreon because I want to support this artist in every way I can. I can really taste the passion she has for this project, and I can only wish that she continues. And last but not least, there is also the dub comics on YouTube made by Calysto. By the way, the voices are spot on. The editing, the narrative, everything is just amazing. And funnily enough, this is also how I got introduced into Sooner or Later You're Gonna Be Mine. It's through his videos that I got an interest in the story and, finally decided to just check it out. Then later I found about the comics, so yeah, it's true. It's true. This Callisto. Thank you so much, Callisto. That's I found out about this little gem. So I also recommend him. Now that you have a good idea of what the story is about, next I will talk about the characters. We'll start up with our main character, Frisk. She is a sweetheart. She is 100% a sweetheart. In this story, she's an adult woman who fell out of love with her passion job that is singing in bars. She hates it. But yeah, Frisk is a sweet, outgoing, young, and joyful woman who loves her friends, family, neighbors, and is not the type to cheat. She's very helpful towards those who have problems, such as helping her neighbors paying their rent. Frisk has a pure heart. She cares deeply for other people, usually putting their feelings and interests even before her own. But despite being genuinely kind, she has her limits, such as when you push her over her boundaries or don't respect her at all. Sans is a good example of that. Then she will not hesitate to snap at you and put you back in your place. And those are the moments where she really shines, and I'm just screaming like, hell yeah, girl, go for it. Put them back in their place. And she always found herself in bad situations, but we all know Frisk has the determination to surmount it. Honestly, this Frisk rocks in the story. And just seeing her in that adorable sweater, she looks adorable. Like look at her in that oversized sweater. She's just adorable. The next character is Sans. My big boy Sans, thicker than a Snicker Sans. He is the star of this show. I love him. So in this story, he looks very similar to his Undertale counterpart, except for a few changes. Well, in this story, he is pretty huge. He towers over most humans. He's even taller than a door, big. He's a skeleton with sharp teeth, with one being gold. His eyes is seen to be glowing red 24/7. He wears black red clothes with a fedora hat, so he has style. He also likes to wear jewelry around his fingers, golden rings and stuff, because he wants to show people how rich he is. But anyway, this character is interesting. And my first impression of him was he's a douche. He's bad. He comes across as very abusive, as very greedy, as very controlling. And when you have read the first chapter, you know how he is. But throughout the story, he changes, he evolves, he becomes better, he learns from his mistakes, and it's just so much fun to read him and see him just evolve into a better man. And also, he's really hilarious in this story. I I cannot get enough of this character. And instead of him loving ketchup in the original game, in this story he loves mustard, which I don't like mustard at all. Then we have Papyrus. Nice try making Papyrus all steely and evil, but we all know he's still a little fluff nugget. In this story, Papyrus looks like his Undertale counterpart, except that he is as twice as long as Frisk. He is violent. You do not want to cross him when he's in a bad mood. He has a scar on his right eye socket, I believe, and wears red black clothes with a fedora hat. He is the little brother of Sans. Now, he's kind of intimidating, but he's also so adorable at the same time. But be warned, you do not want to mess him because he can turn extremely violent. But if you're on his good side, he's honestly a sweetheart. Then we have Wingdings. He is so cool. This character is such a badass. Now, he was not at present in the original game, but in the story, he is the big brother of Sans and Papyrus. He is a scientist, a brilliant scientist who creates powerful weapons, and you do not want to mess with him unless you want a gun against your head, a gaster blaster, as he likes to call it. And he's the one who leads the family business since we're, in a mafia tale. And yeah, he's extremely serious. And you really do not want to wake him up while he sleeps unless you want to die. Then we have Tops. This character was also present in the original game, but he was known as an ice cream vendor. In this story, he is also literally the same, an ice cream vendor, but he's also the best friend of Sans and gives him advice on how to properly communicate with people and women. Because, boy, on the area of women, Sans has a lot of work to do. He is a blue-furred rabbit-like monster. He's a very optimistic individual who, despite the lack of customers, keeps searching for business opportunities somewhere else. He's very cheerful. I love this guy. And the only thing straight about him is his teeth, if you catch my drift. Grillby. I hate this character so much. I mean, the author really did this Grillby dirty. If you have read the Mafia Tale, the story, well, apart from, having purple flames in his story and, owning a bar, he also has a dirty secret. And it kind of was a shock to me because it was such a twist, I think. It was not something I expected, but yeah, it was a shock. Then there's Asgore and Toriel. In this story, they are pretty much a crazy couple together. Especially Toriel, who became a lunatic. She became a delusional woman who misses her child, Kara. And then there's Asgore, and he's pretty chill. His underfill design is kind of different. He has now black hair, a black goatee, I believe. He's pretty cool in this one. Then there is Undyne. She's still the same hardcore punk loving fish. Fish that has a, I think, I still think she has an eye lap or something. But the only difference or minor difference is that she left poems in this story. And yeah. Then there's Mettaton, our fashion lover. He's still the same except that he has four pair of eyes and is more evil. He's obsessed with fashion. He's hilariously overdramatic, often swooning, and he just wants to hear praises about him. He can't stand critic and stuff. Then there is Burger Pants, or in this story, he's called Whisk. He's the same orange cat like monster who works in the MTT brand Burger Emporium of Mettaton. He is a highly stressed out service employee. He's kind of shy, hesitant, and he hates his job and his employer. What's also really new in this story is that the writer added minor characters in this tale, even though they were not present in the original game. But I still wanted to honor them in this video because I really adore them, and they also played kind of a big role in the story. While there are characters that I absolutely adore, the French lady is a good example of that. She rocked. I wish I could see more chapters about her, but I adore them. There are characters I adore, but then there were characters that I absolutely despised. For example, the old man that make a deal with Sans in the business deal. But the one that's a very good example, no, it's a very great example, is a certain blonde-haired man that offered a job to Frisk, I hate him, and I can't wait to see the kind of, punishment he's going to get. About the otter, does anyone know what happened to the otter? I absolutely love the fanfiction, but there hasn't been an update to chapter 37 for over years now, with no word. I'm trying to figure out what happened, but maybe she got tired of writing it or fell out of passion, unfortunately. But I hope this isn't true though. And I've been hearing different things myself over the years. Last I heard, there was a comment on Archive of Our Own of someone claiming to be the author's friend, saying that they were taking a break due to personal issues and writer's block. And but yeah, that statement was made over a year ago, so who knows at this point. But yeah, I don't think we're entitled to anything from the author. Unfortunately, life can get in the way of things, and fans of the fanfiction begging her to come back might be adding more pressure to her. But hopefully she does work through it, and I would love to see her come back. But if she doesn't, then she doesn't. I'm just really grateful that Melikas does continue the comic adaptation, so shout out for him, her. Shout out for Melikas. But yeah, we'll just going I don't know, we're all going to continue crossing our fingers that this story is going to be updated. Anyway, thank you for listening. Bye.